And so by building on this recovery capital for the person gambling as well as the affected family members, what we're able to do then as a system is facilitate post-traumatic growth for those affected. So we know David touched on that earlier. Now, this is a concept that is, I guess, more so used within the general mental health and therapeutic models, but I think it's so relevant to the work that we do within this space as well, because as we've already kind of touched on, gambling harms can be such a traumatic experience to go through as a whole family. So if we're able to facilitate post-traumatic growth, I think that's a really important approach to take within this kind of support. So it's about reintegrating the self and the experience after that traumatic time in your life has happened. And it refers to the personal growth that can occur after trauma as long as the right support is put in place. So post-traumatic growth will typically look at, improving general emotional resilience, strengthening bonds, your own personal growth, and a better appreciation of life as well. So I think, at the core of this idea of post-traumatic growth, it's about reintegrating the self and the experience, but it's also largely, I think, about connection. And there's a number of different ways that we can support people to build on that connection at Beacon. So initially, it's about focusing on reconnecting with the self following such a traumatic time. So within Beacon, through our one-to-one therapeutic interventions, we can support people to rebuild that self-esteem and rebuild confidence through that therapy. And then also linking them in with different training, employment, education opportunities, which again is going to improve people's self-worth, self-esteem and their confidence. And then also looking at connection with the loved one, which is obviously so important for recovery. So whether that be through our work with other organisations that offer whole family interventions or through our own couples therapy, addressing some of those issues of communication, breakdown of trust, but also just more general group family activities to bring the family back together. And I think our Trek Therapy programme is a really good example of that. And lastly, as has already been mentioned, connection through lived experience is so important for people to not feel alone in what they're going through. So being able to link people into peer-led support, linking them in with different initiatives within their communities, and having that support through recovery champions, and also giving our service users the opportunity to, if they want to, if they're in the place to do that, become recovery champions themselves, which not only helps other people, but really supports them in their own journey as well. And lastly, just in terms of moving forward and some of our goals at Beacon from a treatment and support perspective, one of the first things, we are really building on at the moment is our team of community and recovery champions. So making sure that our recovery champions kind of represent the affected others just as much as they do the people gambling as well. As David mentioned, having people who are very visible and proud within their recovery journey will only break down stigma, and it will get people into our service for support, hopefully at a much earlier point as well. We want to continue to work with other organisations across our region to provide more whole family interventions, working to incorporate more strengths-based assessments within our recovery support. So being able to build on that recovery capital in a very person-centred way and making sure that they are very much tailored for the affected other as well as the